Hello everyone, welcome to another session with me. I'm Sanyukta Saxena. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and this is the fragment special series. And in the last few sessions, we drew these two tiles. This was a tile in which we drew about 12 fragments together. Yeah, and thereafter we drew this tile wherein we practiced about 2 of the fragments out of this tile. Yeah. Today, in today's session, we'll be practicing 2 more of the fragments, right? So let's get started and pick any 2 more fragments out of this, right? So what I'm going to do is just add an orb somewhere in the center of my tile. So this is a regular square tile, yeah? And I'm just going to start randomly. So just going to add some triply inside the orb. So triply is a tangle and a grid, both. So you can call it a hybrid tangle. It can be used to insert various fragments inside, or even if you keep it simple, it acts as a nice tangle. Yeah. So take your time and draw this triply grid inside the orb, right? And then I'm going to add another aura at a distance to insert one more fragment. This one probably in squares. You have not yet chosen the fragments. I'm just creating an outline, right? And then probably the rest of the space we can use some third fragment, right? So we'll see what do we want to do. Right? So let's get started with the first one. So we had drawn a fragment like this wherein we drew a flower inside a triangle like this. Yeah, so I'll just name the number, the reference number now. So the reference number of this fragment is F12, right? So this is fragment F12 where originally we inked the outside of this flower. As I keep saying, if you want to experiment, try doing it inside a square, try doing it inside a circle. That's first way to experiment with fragments. Change the shape in which you insert it. Yeah. So this flower I'm going to insert in all. However, I will not ink the rest of the space in all. I will alternate it. Make a mix of flowers, triangles in which in few the flower is colored, in the rest the space other than the flower is inked. So we are going to do that exercise here. Yeah. So just take your time and do that exercise for each of the triangles. Flower, right? So here the joining one flower is inked, so I'm going to pick up the space other than the flower, right? So you can stick to the original fragment also, just ink the spaces other than the flower. That's fine. This is a bit of a variation, right? Again, I'm going to ink the flower. Yeah, So I think you got the hang of what I am doing here. So I'm going to continue like this, again in the spaces other than the flower. So you can see how beautiful a meta pattern it starts to form when clubbed together. Yeah. So I'm going to quickly do that exercise throughout. So I'm done with the center section. Let us move on to the next section. So I'm going to draw this fragment now, right? So let us see what is the reference number of this fragment. The reference number for this fragment is yeah, I'm just looking for it. Yeah, it is V4. Yeah, this fragment is V4. So again I'm going to draw an X, and as I mentioned to you, you can either aura like this both sides of each line, just like a tangle called Hari, or you can just complete one section at a time. That's okay both ways. Gives the same effect. Yeah. So again, lines to form an X, and then aura each section. Yeah. Moving on to the next, keep rotating your tile. Don't move your hand much from the comfort position, and then just aura each section that you create. Yeah. So I'm going to go on like this, and you can draw along with me, or you can draw later. Yeah. So I'm almost finishing drawing this fragment here, starting in the same way with a cross and then filling in the rest of the space, just like we do for the tangle Hari or hybrid, whatever you wish to relate it with. Just in case you are new to these tangle names, you can always refer to my earlier videos where I have shown how to draw these tangles. You might want to learn. However, I am going pretty slow. If you want, you can observe. Yeah. So we have done 2 fragments here. So let us do one more. So what I am going to do is add these spirals and just go with the third one. So I'm adding big ones here, and I intend to insert this fragment. Yeah. So this fragment here, I'll just give you the reference number for this fragment. Yeah, the reference number is V7. Yeah, so the reference number of this fragment is V7, and it just goes like Marasu. I have drawn a spiral just like we do for printums, for Marasu, many of the tangles, just that it is a little bigger here than the usual size of a fragment. Yeah, so I'm going to do that here also. Just draw the spiral freehand. Draw the spiral. Take your time. Yeah, and then just draw those curvy lines. Divide each of the spiral into sections, not double lines here. Generally in Marasu we have double lines. Slight curve to the lines as I draw them, not exactly straight lines. A reverse curve, a C shape in the opposite direction. Yeah, and it becomes another beautiful fragment. And the last one. We have some spaces left in between. I'm just going to simply fill in Bronx Cheers there. So what I'm going to do is just add an orb, fill it in, leave a highlight, and I'm filling it in such a way that it is not exactly completely filled in, leaving some highlights here and there so that they look more like grapes or pearls, right? So kind of an uneven filling there so that they are discrete. However, you can do that exercise with your jelly pen also, jelly roll. Again, I have shown all those things in my previous video on Bronx Cheer. Again, a Zentangle original. So take your time and fill in these leftover spaces with this beautiful grape-like, pearl-like looking tangle called Bronx Cheers. There are many fragments which use this tangle too because it is a nice filler. Yeah, so I'm going to do that for all the 4 sections, or you may choose to add something else, entirely up to you. Right? I'm still drawing my Bronx Cheers, almost finishing on the last section now. If you want, you can go with another fragment. I didn't want to do more than 2 or 3 fragments. It's so much fun to draw it. While drawing, you don't realize how beautiful it looks like. Yeah. And they gather in a bunch together, their actual look pops up. Yeah. So let's get to shading now. We are done with our tangling. So I'm just going to add graphite around the inner circle. Where my first fragment is placed. Going really hard on my pencil, adding some thick graphite. So that I can create a kind of 3D effect. Both sides of the outer fragment. Yeah. So just going to blend it now. That is my stub. Put the graphite towards the center, but make sure you don't cover the center and it stays white. Right, and then both sides of the outer fragment. Again, don't blend too much. You want the center section white. Yeah, and these Marasu like fragments, just add some on one side, probably one of the ways to shade it. Again, high and low. Right, so let's see how does it look like. I want to add some more on one side. Yeah, so take your time and shade as you feel like. Yeah, there is no standard shading. You could have shaded it around the spiral. Yeah, redo the spiral with the pencil and then blend it. That's one more way. So they are big enough, we could have shaded it that way also. At this point of time, I feel like shading it this way. Yeah, so let us now highlight the center with white chalk. And then a line of highlight on the second fragment. Right, and then some on the other side of your fragment, third fragment. Right, use a different blender and just soften. Right, if you wish you can add some, although it will not be much visible, but you can add some graphite. It's going to reflect because it's mostly black. It's entirely up to you if you want to add a little effect of something there. Yeah, so that's, and again two of the fragments or three of the fragments from this tile, and this is the earlier one that we drew. Right, so I'll see you again. We'll practice more of some of the fragments that we drew in this tile. Till then, no, not till then, we have to first initial our tile, very important, and sign and date it. right? So I'll see you again. Have a good time. Bye bye.